Everyone, welcome to reporting on ASEAN member states. I am Kenneth Josh Leida.
And I'm Fritz. Today we're gonna explore the Philippines, a founding member of ASEAN, and a country rich in history and culture.
Before we begin, let's first talk about ASEAN itself. ASEAN stands for the Associations of Southeast Asian Nations. It was founded on August 8, 1967 to promote peace, cooperation, and economic growth in the Southeast Asian region.
Today, ASEAN has 10 member countries: Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Brunei, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia. These countries work together on trade, education, environmental protection, and regional security.
ASEAN is important because it helps its members solve common problems, improve their economies, and keep the regions peaceful, and also gives the Southeast Asian nations a stronger voice on the world stage.
And now, in this episode, we will take a closer look at the Philippines, a founding member of ASEAN. We'll talk about its history, government, religion, current issue, and how ASEAN influenced its governance. Let's get started. The Philippines became a founding member of ASEAN on August 8, 1967, along with Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand.
Its capital city is Manila. It's located on the island of Luzon, and it's the center of the country's economic and political activities.
Official language are Filipino and English. Filipino is based on Tagalog, and English is widely used in education and government.
As of 2025, the population of the Philippines is estimated at 116.8 million, making it at the 14th most populous country in the world. The population is young and growing with a median age of around 25 years.
The Philippines proudly boasts to be the only Christian nation in Asia. More than 86% of the population is Roman Catholic, 6% belong to various nationalized Christian cults, and another 2% belong to the well over 100 Protestant denominations. And now, let's discuss the type of government in the Philippines.
The Philippines is governed as a unitary state, which means that most of the power is concentrated in the national government. Local government units exist like a province, cities, but they operate under the authority of the central government. This setup helps maintain unity and consistency in laws and policies across the country.
That's right. And under this unitary system, the country also follows a presidential representative and democratic constitutional republic form of government. Let's break it down a bit. In a presidential system, the president is both the head of the state and the head of the government. That means the president represents the country and also manages the executive branch.
As a representative democracy, the citizens of the Philippines elect their leaders. The people vote for the presidents, senators, and representatives, and also the local officials during elections. This gives the people the power to choose who leads them and make decisions on their behalf.
Now, the term constitutional republic means that the country is governed according to a constitution. This constitution is the highest law of the land. It outlines the rules and the limits of the government and guarantees the rights of its citizens. Even the president must follow the rules set by the constitution.
That's right. This system helps protect democracy and make sure that no one leaders has unlimited power. The Constitution provides a clear structure for how the government should work. Now, let's explore the political system of the Philippines. The Philippines has three main branches. First is the executive, legislative, and the judicial branch.
The executive is led by the president. Elected for a single 6-year term, the president is the most powerful figure, managing national and regional affairs.
The legislative branch is bicameral, meaning it made of Senate and House of Representatives. They create laws and pass laws.
The judicial branch is led by the Supreme Court, which ensures that all laws follows the Constitution and protects the citizens' rights.
To understand how the Philippines is governed today, we need to look at its history. The country's political system was deeply shaped by its past, especially through the colonization and the key national movement.
That's right. The first major influence came over 300 years of Spanish rule. Beginning in 1565, 1895, the Spanish colonizers introduced a centralized colonial government and heavily integrated the Roman Catholic Church into daily life and governance.
Catholicism wasn't just a religion, it became a tool of colonization. Spanish missionaries built churches, opened schools, and converted much of the population to Catholicism. Over time, Catholic values became deeply embedded in Filipino culture, education, and even in politics.
Church also held a lot of power. Spanish friars were also involved in local government decisions, land ownership, and community leadership. This strong religious influence is one of the reasons why Philippines remain a predominantly Catholic country today.
Then, in 1898, Spain lost control of the Philippines after the Spanish-American War. The United States took over and ruled the country as a colony. During this time, the U.S. introduced democratic ideas such as voting, a system of checks and balances, and a public education system using English.
This American influence is one big reason why Philippines now has a presidential system and a bicameral legislature, just like the US Congress.
The Philippines finally gained independence on July 4, 1946 after World War II. But the political journey wasn't smooth. In 1972, the President Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law, which lasted until 1981. During this time, he had almost total control of the government and suspended many civil rights.
That period showed how dangerous it can be when too much power is in the hands of one leader. Many people were arrested without charges, and the media was heavily controlled.
Then came a major turning point in 1986, which is the EDSA People Power Revolutions. Millions of Filipinos joined peaceful protests to remove Marcos from power. This event restored democracy and became a symbol of non-violent resistance around the world.
After the revolution, the country adopted a new constitution in 1987, which is still in use today. This document strengthened the balance of power between branches of government and protected human rights.
It also reinforced term limits and checks on presidential power, which we still see today. So, when we look at how the Philippines is governed now, it's clear that it's passed from colonization to dictatorship and to revolution, continues to shape its democracy.
And that is why knowing history is so important. It reminds us how far the country has come and why protecting democratic value matters today more than ever.
Now that we talk about the country's history, now let's look at how the government of the Philippines is organized today, how it actually works on day-to-day level.
This is what we call the governance framework. It includes how power is divided, who holds it, and how decisions are made from the president down to the local barangays.
The Philippines has a unitary form of government, which means that the national government holds the main authority. Local governments exist, but they follow rules and guidance from the national level.
The national government is divided into three main branches, namely executive, legislative, and judicial. This is called the separation of powers, and it helps prevent any one branches from becoming too powerful.
The executive branch is led by the president, who is both the head of a state and the head of the government. The president oversees all national policies and leads the country.
The president also appoints the cabinet, which includes the head of the government departments, like the Department of Education, the Department of Health, and the Department of National Defense. Each department manages a specific part of public service.
The legislative branch is made up of the Congress of the Philippines, which has two parts, the Senate and the House of Representatives.
The Senate has 24 senators elected nationwide, while House of the Representative has over 300 members representing different district and party list group. Together, they write and pass the laws that affect the whole country.
The judicial branch makes sure laws follow the Constitution. The highest court in the country is the Supreme Court, led by the Chief Justice.
On the other hand, lower courts like regional and municipal courts also exist to handle local and national cases. These system helps to protect the rights of citizens and ensures that justice is fair.
Now, let's talk about local governments. While the Philippines is a unitary state, it also follows a system of decentralizations. This means that local governments are given some powers to manage their own communities.
The country is divided into provinces, cities, municipalities, and barangays, which are the smallest units. Each level has its own elected leaders like governors, mayors, and barangay captains.
Their responsibilities include local infrastructure, basic health services, garbage collection, and public safety. These are guided by the Local Government Code of 1991, which allows local governments to make their own decisions in a certain areas.
An example of decentralization is the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, also known as the BAR. It has a greater control over its own governance, culture, and justice system to respect the unique identity of Muslim Filipinos.
So, while the national government is still the highest authority, local governments help bring services closer to the people. It's a way of making governance more efficient and responsive to community needs.
In short, the Philippines follows a centralized system, but with the local government playing a key role. Its three branches of government and decentralized structure help balance national leadership with community-level decision-making.
And that balance is essential to keeping democracy alive and making sure people's voices are heard, whether in the halls of Congress or the streets of a small barangay.
Now that we covered the local side of governance, let's take a look beyond our boundaries. How the Philippines' membership in ASEAN affect the way our country is governed.
ASEAN, or the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, is a regional group made up of 10 countries, including the Philippines. The group was formed in 1967, and the Philippines is actually one of the founding members.
ASEAN main goals are to promote peace, economic cooperation, and regional stability. Although it doesn't control member governments, it encourages countries to work together on common issues like trade, security, climate change, and good governance.
The Philippines has been very active in ASEAN since the beginning. In fact, it hosted the 12th ASEAN Summit in 2007 and the 50th ASEAN anniversary in 2017. During those events, the country helped push for regional unity and cooperation.
Right, and the Philippines also helped shape major ASEAN agreements, like the ASEAN Charter, which turned ASEAN into a legal organization back in 2008. That charter promotes values like democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, which align closely to the Philippine Constitution itself.
Even though ASEAN doesn't have enforcement power like the UN, its policies and agreements still influence how the Philippines makes decisions. One example is in trade and the economy.
That is true. The Philippines joined the ASEAN Free Trade Area, which helps reduce tariffs and encourages business among member countries. Because of this, the business government adjusts its trade policies to stay competitive.
Another example is the ASEAN Political Security Community, also known as APSC. It promotes cooperation in peacekeeping, anti-terrorism, and cybersecurity. As a result, the Philippines has strengthened its laws on counter-terrorism and joined a joint military exercise with other ASEAN nations.
We also see ASEAN influence in disaster management and climate action through the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response. The Philippines receives training, early warning support, and help during natural disaster, like after Typhoon Haiyan in 2013.
And don't forget labor rights because of ASEAN efforts to protect migrant workers through the ASEAN Consensus on the protection and promotion of the rights of migrant workers. On 2017, the Philippines updated updated its labor laws and increased support for overseas Filipino workers known as OFWs.
So technically, when ASEAN doesn't control what the Philippines does, it plays a big role in shaping our policies, especially in trade, disaster response, and regional security.
Exactly. ASEAN gives Philippines a platform to collaborate, share best practices, and push for reforms that match regional standards. It's a partnership that continues to evolve and influence on how we govern our country.
Now that we've explored how ASEAN influenced governance in the Philippines, let's shift our focus to the country's most pressuring political issues.
Yes, and one of the most impactful developments so far this year was the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte. This marked a turning point in the Philippine politics.
It happened on March 11, 2025. Former President Rodrigo Duterte was arrested at Ninoy Aquino International Airport. He was coming back from Hong Kong when he was taken by the police. This was done because of a warrant from International Criminal Court or ICC. The court says Duterte is responsible for crimes against humanity. These are related to war on drugs that he led when he was president, which caused thousands of deaths without proper investigation or trial.
Even though the Philippines left the ICC in 2019, the court still has the right to investigate crimes that happened while the country was still a member. Duterte was flown to The Hague in the Netherlands to face trials. Many people who support human rights said that this arrest was a good step to bring justice, but many people, Duterte's supporters, said it was unfair and politically motivated.
This event caused a lot of arguments between the people who support Duterte and those who support the Marcos administration. Some believe the government helped the ICC arrest him, while others says the law must apply to everyone.
The impact of this arrest is huge. It shows that no one, not even a former president, is above the law. It also opens the door for more investigation into past government actions. However, it also creates more political division, especially between supporters of Duterte and the current leaders. This situation could affect political alliances and how people see justice and leaderships in the Philippines.
Let's talk now about the military exercises near the South China Sea. From April 21 to May 9, 2025, the Philippines and the United States held their biggest Balikatan military drills ever. Over 14,000 troops joined the exercise, including soldiers from countries like Australia, France, South Korea, and the United Kingdom.
They use advanced weapons like the Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Introduction Systems, also known as NMESIS missile system, and trained in areas close to the Batanes Island, which are near Taiwan and China. The government said the exercises were done to improve our defense skills and make our military stronger.
But China wasn't happy about this. They say the drills were a threat to peace in the region. Some Filipino fishermen were also affected because they couldn't go to their usual fishing areas. Local leaders said the exercises scared people and could lead to problems with China.
This military drill showed that the Philippines wants to protect its territories and work with other countries for safety. But the risk is that it might make China more aggressive. This could affect peace, trade, and the safety of Filipinos, especially in coastal areas.
The impact is serious, but the Philippines shows that it's ready to stand up against threat. It must also be careful not to start a bigger conflict. The government must find the right balance between defense and diplomacy.
On February 5, 2025, the House of Representatives approved the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. A total of 215 lawmakers voted in favor of it. The charges against her were very serious. They said she misused public funds, involved in a plan to hurt President Marcos Jr., and other high crimes, including bribery.
Vice President Duterte denied all of these claims. She said they were not true and were part of the political move to bring her down. She also filed a case with the Supreme Court to stop the impeachment, saying the process was unfair and invalid.
This case has caused more problems between the Duterte and Marcos families. If the Senate finds her guilty, Sara Duterte will lose her position and won't be allowed to run for any public office again. This will be a big loss for her and her supporters.
The impact of this impeachment is also big. It shows that high officials can be removed if they are found guilty, but it also shows how political in the Philippines can be used to attack enemies. It makes people question whether this is really about justice or just political fighting.
It could also change the results of the next elections, as people might turn away from traditional political families and look for new leaders.
Now, let us move on and talk about the 2025 midterm election. This will happen on May 12. All 317 seats in the House of Representatives and 12 seats in the Senate will be open for election. Many governors, mayors, and local officials will also be elected.
This election is happening during a time of a major political issues: Duterte's arrest, Sara Duterte's impeachment, and the problems with the Marcos administration. This is why people say this election is very important.
The elections will show how the public feels. Will they support big names like Duterte and Marcos again? Or will they choose new leaders? They are also concerned about foreign influence, especially from China. Some groups are worried about election fraud or violence.
The impact of these elections will be huge. They will shape the laws and policies in the country for the next 3 years. They will also decide if President Marcos Jr. will still have strong support in Congress.
And they will also give us a clue about who might run for president in 2028. So, this election is not just now, it is also about the future.
To sum it all up, the Philippines is facing serious political challenges right now. The arrest of Rodrigo Duterte, the big military drills, and the impeachment of Sara Duterte, and the 2025 elections are all shaping our country's future.
This event shows that the Philippines is going through changes. People are demanding for justice, safety, and better leadership. But this issue also dividing the country and testing our democracy.
As citizens, we must stay informed, ask questions, and vote wisely. The choice we make today will affect the Philippines for many years to come.
As we come to the end of this episode, let's take a moment and reflect on everything we talked about today.
That's right, we talk about how the Philippines is a unitary, democratic, and a constitutional republic with three main branches: the executive, legislative, and the judicial branch. We also discussed how local government works, especially under the Local Government Code and the special case of BARMM.
First, we look at the country's deep history, from Spanish and American colonization to martial law and people power revolution. All of this shaped how the Philippines govern itself today.
We also explored how ASEAN influences Philippine policies, especially in areas like trade, security, disaster response, and workers' rights. As a founding member, the Philippines continues to play an active role in promoting regional cooperation.
And of course, we look at the current political landscapes, the arrest of former President Duterte, the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte, and the upcoming 2025 midterm elections. This event highlights both the strength and the challenge of the Philippine democracy.
Through it all, one thing is clear: the Philippines plays an important part in ASEAN and continues to face big decisions about its future. It's a country with a rich history, strong democratic foundations, and people who care deeply about justice and leadership.
What do you think about the issue we discussed today? Do you see ASEAN as the positive force for the Philippines? How do you feel about the current political climate? We'd love to hear your thoughts about that one.
us on our social media pages or leave a comment wherever you are listening right now. That's all for today's episode of Reporting on ASEAN Member States. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll be back soon with another episode